What's up, guys? So, I really don't understand something that I've been trying to wrap my head around is boxing fans who talk trash about specific fighters or specific matchups. When I think about ideal fights I want to see, there's a few variables that come to mind. I think about where each fighter is at in their career. It's something we talk about a lot. Career trajectory. So is a fighter trending upwards or is a fighter trending downwards? I think about total record. That's important. I think about variables that would make the crowd electric as well. So I'm reminded of a fight back in the early 2000s on Puerto Rican Independence Day in New York City at the Garden between Miguel Cotto and the Magic Man, Malignaggi. And you have New York City, you had Paulie, who was from New York City, Italian background. You had Miguel Cotto, who's from, New York City, to the Puerto Rican roots. And that called the Madison Square Garden was cut right down the middle. And I always tell people that fight, I had never seen a fighter come into the ring and look so different after the fight. Malignaggi, when he was young, man, check out some of his earlier walk-ins when he was on his way to becoming world champion. He would do the little Magic Man shake. He'd have his hair boxed up looking like a Gotti brother. And Miguel put it on him early on in that fight. And then as the rounds went on and on, Malignaggi made it a close fight. It was a hell of a fight. Still to this day, one of my favorite fights. And it wasn't a knockout. This is the one where Malignaggi, I think he had a broken orbital. Both sides of his face was swollen. It turned out to be a good fight. The reason why I reference that is the fact that you had a crowd divided. You had the Puerto Ricans and the Italians. And come on, mate, in terms of boxing, these two, the fan bases were electric. So when I'm thinking about potential matchups, that's always in the back of my mind. I'm like, what would the fan bases be at the arena? That matters when I'm thinking about potential matchups. I want to see the David Morrell, David Benavidez fight. But the one fight I want to see sooner rather than later is the Edgar Berlanga and Jaime Munguia fight. And every time I bring up these guys in the boxing forums on our Facebook groups, people talk trash about both fighters. Guys, if you're a grown man and you're over the age of 40 and you're talking trash about a 26-year-old pro athlete, you are a loser. You need to get a life. And I'm sorry if I've offended you or anyone here. But if I run into you in real life and you, because I'm 41, and you're either my age or older, and you're talking trash about, let's be honest, a 26-year-old is a kid. If you're talking trash about a 26-year-old pro athlete that you've never met, and you're using words and language that you wouldn't use in front of that person, you, my friend, are a loser. So I'm trying to figure out why people are so anti seeing Berlanga fight Munguia. And one of these people who are leading the charge of, seems to me, the anti-narrative is De La Hoya. It's like, for how much I struggle and how much I try to like Oscar, because I'm still connected to what he meant to me in my childhood. Watching his fights as a kid and watching, him fight Trinidad and De La Hoya, everybody, Pernell Whitaker. De La Hoya fought everybody. He said no to nobody. He was a true through and through warrior. And because that was my childhood, boxing was my sport, I love De La Hoya. And it's hard for me now as an adult man to now see him. If you go to his social medias, it doesn't say anything about being a former world champion. His social media just says entrepreneur. So now I have to compartmentalize the boxer I grew up watching with all of his skills and work ethic and the genetics he had. And I have to juggle that with the entrepreneur, Golden Boy, the stuff he says in the media, the cocaine, the pantyhose, all the crazy stuff. And I still find myself in boxing forums defending Oscar. It's just lately, it's getting harder and harder to defend De La Hoya when I see how sort of the business dealings he kind of narrates and the conversations he creates. he went on a media run a week ago, and said that the Berlanga Munguia fight was off. It's not happening. Why would I take my guy who's 42-0 against a guy I think Berlanga's 21-0? What's Berlanga sitting at? Yeah, 21-0 and 42-0. Why not have them fight? Both are in their mid-20s. And he says the fight's off, right? And then Berlanga comes out. He's like, what is Oscar talking about? The fight's not off. I'm still in negotiations. We're waiting to see the financial work. We want to see the paperwork. But the fight's not off. Berlanga wants that fight. Munguia wants that fight. And it's Oscar then feeds this narrative. And I know a lot of it has to do with chess. De La Hoya is playing this game. And this is what a lot of boxing promoters do in the media. They'll force feed us with a narrative, and they think that that'll allow what they really want, maybe business dealings, to come out on the other end by pressuring one side or the other to believe in that narrative by, I don't know, maybe having Berlanga's camp think that the fight's off and then the financial gets pushed in front of them and they choose, they decide on a contract that, Berlanga really doesn't want, but is forced into because of that aforementioned narrative. But at the end of the day, I want to see that fight. I want to see two young fighters who have undefeated records. One's going to have Puerto Rico behind him. The other one is going to have Mexico behind him, and they're going to also be defending that. I want to see those two fight, and I don't understand. I understand why De La Hoya constantly puts these roadblocks in front of big matchups for Munguia, but I think it'd be great for boxing. It'd be great for the fan base. It'd be great for both fighters. Let me know what you think. Would you want to see Munguia versus Berlanga? Let me know in the comment section below. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks, guys.